Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Yeah, I'm losing track of the day, so you can see I almost stuttered there. My name is Mary Dover. I am with Coldwell Banker Realty here in Cypress, Texas, probably about 35 minutes outside of Houston. Obviously, the question of the month, year, 2 years is the housing market. Everyone wants to know what's going on. Where do we stand right now in this craze? Well, COVID has been a mass contributor to the real estate dynamic. Obviously, remote ability to move where you want, affordability has posed to be a great question. Where are we at post-COVID? Well, we're not really post-COVID anymore. Unfortunately, the numbers have risen dramatically over the past few months. CDC mandated, obviously, masks the first part of 2020. Then we did the stay-at-home orders for a while. Now we're out and about and free. Yay! Welcome to freedom as we know it. Now, I myself personally, I still wear my mask because I contact people all the time. I'm out and about showing property. I'm in the public eye. So it's important. Just stay safe, use caution, do what you need to do to make it through this pandemic. Times are changing dramatically. Everyone wants to know where are things at right now. The housing market's great question. When you Google it, you Google real estate market. You have over 323 million articles to decipher. That's a lot for one person to take in. That's a lot for me to take in, and I'm a professional. So a little about me is I've been doing real estate since 2004. I started out in Florida, born and raised, native Floridian, transitioned to Texas in 2015, was doing real estate from 2004 to 2015 in the state of Florida, took a break, thought that perhaps, my life needed to go a different course, different action, wanted to see what life was like outside of my career. So I went back to school. I got my bachelor's degree in healthcare administration and decided I don't want to sit behind a desk. Many hats off to those that do. God bless you all. You are amazing people for what you do behind your desk and on your computer, but that's not me. I have to be out and about and meeting people and greeting people and shaking hands and building and establishing relationships. That's what I do best. That's where I've always been. I'm an extrovert to every level, and sometimes I take things to the next level a little too much. I'm extremely helpful when it comes to my clients. Been a homeowner myself since 2004. I purchased my first house in a little town called Deltona, Florida. Probably many of you have heard of it, many of you not. Home of Stetson University, next town over, DeLand, Florida. Decided that we needed a change. I've got 2 children and a husband and 2 dogs and a partridge in a pear tree. So we uprooted and moved to Texas without even coming. It's the craziest thing I've ever done in my life. My husband called me, got a job transfer. We'd never visited the state. The only thing that I knew was, snake skins, boots, guitars, as you can see in the background. Thought that, it was going to be more country living. Lo and behold, pull into Houston, white knuckled the whole way. It's not country living. It is far from country living. So here we sit nearly 7 years later, and I love it. The people are great. The economy is fantastic. The housing market is booming. Everyone wants to live here. And I know why, because it's so cheap to live here. Really, it is. And you actually have a decent wage, and that the economy is thriving and surviving even during the pandemic. We had a few shutdowns. We were mandated to stay home for a little while, but it was business as usual soon enough as we knew it. So here's where we sit right now. Our economy is still booming. The housing market, we don't have enough houses. So, when you look at supply and demand issues and you look at economic frugality, here in Texas, we are a diverse economy. We have technology, we have oil, we have food, we have anything and everything you could ever want. Whereas some states, they're more based off of tourism, retirement, Florida, everyone's dying to get in. No pun intended. Sorry. It's just my old realtor ways kicking in. So here's where we're at right now. If you are a buyer, interest rates are competitively low. And when I say competitively low, I mean you can get a 2.75 interest rate pending your credit situation and what type of loan program you decide to go through, up to 3.5%, 4%. When I first started real estate, interest rates were 6.25% to 8%. So when things started dying down and the Federal Reserve stepped in during the last Great Recession and removed interest rates, key interest rates down to 0%. Now, the Federal Reserve, they're kind of like the main of everybody. They're the artery. And then you have the veins and the feeders. And the veins and the feeders are the banks like Chase Bank or Bank of America. They borrow from the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve gives them a 0% interest rate. And then at that point, it kind of feeds off. And they give the consumer the rate that they feel they can do at this point. And right now it's 2.75. So they're gaining 2.75 plus percent off of you as the consumer and me as the consumer. And so just kind of a little education behind that. Not many people understand the dynamics of the financing. So you've got 3 different loan programs as a buyer that you can utilize. You've got FHA, you have conventional, and you have USDA. So those are the 3 main wheels of financing. Which route you go depends totally on your financial history, your FICO score, your job relativity, things of that nature. Now, personally, I like conventional. Okay. And that's because they have this thing, it's called PMI, which is PMI or MIP, one way or the other. It's mortgage protection insurance. And so what this does is anybody that's not putting down at minimum 20% on their actual purchase of their home, they can be charged for this insurance. And it's an insurance for the bank. So like Bank of America or Chase, because during the last recession, we had so many foreclosures that they had to recoup some of their money. And this insurance policy helps them to recoup their money. And so, and it can range anywhere from $135 a month to $250. And it used to be with FHA that you could cancel that mortgage insurance protection once you had 20% equity. It takes the average person about 10 years to gain 20% equity. That's if you're not paying anything extra into the pot. So after that period of time, then you would have that removed and your payments would go down by that amount of the premium monthly. So you've got taxes, insurance, principal, interest, PMI. All those are enumerated within your one payment that you pay on a monthly basis to your institution. Then at the end of the year, they go ahead and pay your taxes, they pay your insurance, they have your PMI, and in the event you defaulted, that PMI would pay the original appraised amount, 20% off the top. So if your home appraised at $200,000, then they're guaranteed to get $60,000 from that insurance policy that you're paying from on a monthly basis, and they get your home. So you don't pay, you don't stay, but they still end up getting. And banks are not in the business of buying houses or selling houses. They're in the business of lending. So they want to avoid foreclosure at every cost. Now, with conventional, you can put down 5 to 20%. It's completely based off of you, your financial viability, your credit history, whether you're a U.S. citizen or you have an ITIN number, things of that nature. So it's important to really research which program is most viable for you and which one is most supportive to your financial needs. So once you reach that 20% equity with conventional, you can drop the PMI. All it takes is contacting your institution and saying, hey, you know what, I think I've got 20% equity in my mortgage at this point. My home is worth X, Y, and Z based off of neighboring properties that have sold. Can we go ahead and order an appraisal and see where we stand? So that appraisal will cost you as a homeowner anywhere from $400 to $600 in order to get that done. And then at that point, what happens is they send out the appraiser, they check the functionality of the house. They make sure that obviously you've made 24 consecutive payments on time every month in order to get rid of that PMI. Otherwise, the only way to get rid of it is to refinance the house. Then you have to be able to go through the complete financial background again, the same way that when you purchased your house, you provide bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns, 401ks, IRAs, any assets, liabilities, things of that nature. So just some food for thought. And then the third program, which is mainly comprised of rural development, is called a USDA loan. I know it sounds like meat. It's really not. It's a loan. It's a home loan. They've got those. So it's 100% financing. And the PMI on that is reduced in comparison to the FHA or the conventional mortgage. So, for instance, here in my area, the only place that really qualifies for USDA is Huffman, Crosby, parts of Hockley, and Waller. Now, if you like those areas, that's great. I love those areas personally. If I had been here before, I probably would have purchased in those areas versus Cypress. But Cypress is nice. It's growing by leaps and bounds. Just in the past 7 years that I've been here, it's been highly developed, which, is a good thing for some. Some people like that. Some people don't. I'm from a small town. I'm not used to that development. Although I go home now and I can't see what I used to live in because it's vastly different thanks to mobility. So just some food for thought for you guys. Now, obviously, you have to sit down and decide whether homeownership is even for you. But I can tell you it's a vehicle to better living conditions. And I don't say that lightly. I love what I do, and I love the people that I meet along the way. But if you want to pay rent, pay rent. But if you want to own something, take that initiative, take that step in order to move to that goal, because it's not going to just fall in your lap. So if that means that you have to work on your credit, I can be the first one to tell you it is hard. It is really hard unless you've got someone there that can help to guide you on what to do. And getting your credit cleaned up after incidents have occurred. Life happens, guys. Your credit score shouldn't be your definition of who you are. So don't let it define your future. Make changes to better your own life. No one's going to do it for you. So you can actually go on to annualcreditreport.com and pull all 3 of your bureaus once a year for absolutely free. Now, they will charge you for your FICO score. The FICO score is really an important number. And when I say that, I do mean that in order to go FHA, you can have as low as a 580 FICO score, pending which lender you go with. But ultimately, that 580 FICO score is going to cost you more in the long run because your interest rate is going to be higher. Versus if you have a 620 or a 670 FICO, then your interest rate is lower and you pay less over the long term of the 30 years towards interest. Again, it's just a matter of deciphering where you're at, where you want to be financially, long-term, short-term. Is it a short-term investment, something that you plan on staying in for 3 to 5 years? Then at that point, it really won't make a difference. But most people nowadays, it's kind of like it was back in the 1970s. People bought their homes and they stayed in them for 40 years or until they passed. The only way they were getting out of there was in a casket. My parents have been in their home since 1980. They're not going anywhere. I have tried and tried and tried to get them to move, and they're not migrating. Me personally, I've owned 6 homes. I move. That's what I do. I promote what I do for a living. I can't help it. It's in my blood. And not only that, but I like different things. I've painted my inside of my house probably 4 different times in the past 5 years that I've been here. My husband always yells at me about that. Why are you changing the color again? Because I like color. I like change. Hence, this room will be different the next week because I'm going to paint it again. It needs to change. And so these are all things that you can do when you're a homeowner and you've got the flexibility to do so. Equity is something that's acquired over time. It's not something that's instantaneous. Some people walk into a home and they've already got $6, $10, $15, $20,000 in equity set aside based off of the original appraised amount. But that's not every situation. And that's certainly not the situation in this market where we sit right now. Sellers are reaping the benefits. There is low supply, high demand, and tons of buyers that if the property is nice and it's livable and it doesn't need a lot of work, people are snapping up those homes and they're paying anywhere from $20, $30, $40, $50,000 over list price. So this market may not be your market, but start putting it in the back of your mind where you sit, because your socioeconomic status can change over time based off of your home ownership. So if you want a condo, great. Condos are nice too. Townhomes, perfect. They're beautiful, especially for people that, travel for work, or they don't want a yard to maintain, but they want to have the luxury of repainting the inside of the house, hanging up pictures, having a potential retirement fund or a college fund for their kids. There's so many reasons for owning a home. So now you just need to kind of skew in on what your reasoning and your logic is. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to educate you. I have no issues with that whatsoever. Again, I've been doing this since 2004. I've seen tons of homes. I've sold probably 200 homes in my time frame. This is in my blood and I love what I do, and I don't mind picking up the phone or texting or, preferably meeting. That's more of, my ammo in your face. I like to be there to see you, to get your vibe, to learn about your family, learn about your history, what your future holds. And these are relationships that I build along the way. It's not like once we're done with the transaction, peace out, I'm gone. I'm still there. Through every twist and turn, every question you have, I want you to feel confident that you can reach out to me. Again, my name is Mary Dover. I'm with Coldwell Banker Realty. You can visit my website at www.har/Mary Dover, or you can visit my other website at www.marydoverhomes.com. And that's D as in dog, O as in Oscar, V as in Victor, E as in Edward, R as in rabbit. Yes, Dover. I hope you all have a fabulous day, and thank you so much for tuning in.